Okay. Are we good? We're good, legal, Marissa. No jokes. So first order is public comments. I only see one gentleman. I don't know if you're.
Let me introduce. This is Eric Carlson. He's our new senior manager of commercial real estate at the airport. He's been with us since January 2nd. He's very knowledgeable in commercial real estate, and he's been doing a great job for us. So we are looking to transition from me being on this committee to Eric being on this committee. So I gotta bring him and let him see what he's in for. So, is there anything you want to say, Eric?
No, thanks for having me.
I think we're good. We're good to go.
Yeah.
Tim will be here. Yeah.
I'm off.
When is this transition gonna happen, Randy?
Well, I guess there's a training later this month, and then we have to do all the paperwork. So Cedric's gonna guide me through the paperwork. So it'll probably be next month or the month after.
And by the way, nice to see you back.
Well, thank you. It's good to be back.
Okay, community updates. TPD is not here. Did they send in an update?
No, they did not, and was just informed that they were not notified, so we will make sure that that's corrected for next month. So TPD nor code enforcement will be providing updates.
You know, well, remember? It made us work. Action items, approval of the December minutes, and have a few minutes to go over that, and then we'll take a motion to approve or change it for having.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
And that's the second,
I'll second.
all in favor? So moved. So moving right along.
All right.
Hey, someone is presenting to us about water efficiency rebates, yes?
Yes, but they are not here currently. And so we will move on. I think, Ms. Astrokiza, if I may, because the commercial grants folks that were from our department are going to present, they are also presenting at the downtown meeting and probably on their way here. So I can roll into the updates provided by Ms. Martinez, if that's okay.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, and I think it's the third or fourth page in your packet. Under Drew Park CRA projects reports. And I know there's some ongoing things related to a linear park and a couple other parcels within Drew Park that have been brought to my attention. And I want to say thank you to Ms. Astrokiza for spending some time with me last Friday to kind of get me up to speed on some of the priorities. But, you know, as now that you all are here and assembled, one of the things that Ms. Martinez shared was the Lois and Grady Avenue landscape, streetscape and safety audit. And I won't read it all to you. You can see there just what the overall cost factor was. And apparently the purchase order was opened in August of 2022. And the presentation for the final product was October 3rd. And I believe that was here at your meeting. Is that correct? No.
Mhm.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Very good. And then she also listed out the next steps, which for the plans would be to update and reflect preliminary review comments, produce maintenance guidelines, document, and share updated plans with CAC members to prioritize implementation and Traditionally, what I've done in East Tampa is I normally have a manager's report. So this will kind of dovetail into that, and I'll kind of share some of the updates that I provided following my conversation with Ms. Astor Keys the last week as it relates to some of the ongoing projects that were going on and tied into this report. Mobility and connectivity. And so you all have that moving. And there was a meeting on February 2nd with a consultant for an update and next steps. And let me ask you, when was the last time that the consultants actually have come to you all and presented?
It's been a while, actually. I think the idea was that they were going to come back so we can prioritize and make decision where we wanted to move forward with what we wanted to move forward with.
Okay.
And so we haven't gotten to that point.
Was it one project that's listed here specifically that you all?
We didn't
Okay, no,
get to that.
okay.
Just remind me, I know one of these was going to be kind of a laundry list and we were going to select what we wanted. Were both of them laid
The
out?
most complete laundry list that we got was the one associated with the park. That was, I would say, is the most, and you guys jump in, it's the one that was most complete, the laundry list of all these things, projects. Then we had, you guys jump in here because it's been some time.
I think he's talking about all the ones that specifically didn't pertain to the park. Right, you're talking about the list of the like streetscape.
Yeah, I was thinking, especially in this mobility and connectivity, we can put some parking spaces here, we can improve the sidewalks there.
Or something like that, right? You were
Yeah.
under J or H or somewhere in the middle, because we were like, the conversation was, do we choose no? We said it would be just like a whole package.
Teratonics was here in December, did a presentation, and the talk was, it's in the minutes, Randy had asked, if we were to do all of it, would it save us money? How much could we do? And we didn't make that decision, but that was a conversation. But it looked like you could pick and choose different projects out of what they presented to us in all the letters.
And there was a dollar amount.
Yeah. Yep.
I think from the homeowner conversation, it seemed like it was everybody knew because of that it was leaning towards it should be a group project of all of them together, correct? Do I remember that? Or I think that's what you were.
Randy had asked if they come out to do it all, would it save us money because, and it's in the minutes what Jesus' response was, but yeah.
Alongside that, I think where my concern was that Una was going to do something similar on rating Lois. It might make sense to me to separate them, right?
The things we had to
Right.
inquire about.
Exactly, so that if Tectonics is doing the rest of the park, then why are these two being carved out? Because going back to what Lee said, you do them all together to get a better deal or,
Yeah,
a better package. So we were seeing, I think, you guys correct me, and maybe it was my brain and I didn't say it, but that it made sense based on what Randy was saying, that, anything on Lois and Grady should really be part of the Tectonics situation.
yeah, we can afford it. I think,
Well, that one,
I mean, that's a lot of impact between these two projects. It impacts not just a narrow slice here and narrow slice there. It's pretty much all over Drew Park.
exactly, and I think, like, for example, I think we need to have them come back and now that we have some time has passed and update us, because like, for example, I was driving over here now. And the crosswalk that goes over to the apartments is on Lois, right? And it's at the corner, which makes no sense to me because there's that roundabout, like people are going right past that, and some of them are trucks. I don't know why it was placed there. There must have been a reason. I do remember a couple of years ago, mobility saying something. I can't remember what it is.
I think
But
that.
it makes no sense. It doesn't
Didn't
stay
the
for the
kids
people
from
crossing over
HTV
ATV.
give a presentation on moving that crosswalk
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Mhm.
I can't remember the project from last month, but 2 years ago, I remember the kids from HTC showed. So,
It
I
just
mean,
didn't seem
if we wanted
safe to
to,
me to have it to have that. So that's one of the questions we would have, I would have anyway, is why is that, so close to the corner, it doesn't seem safe for the people from the front to get an HCC and vice versa.
When you're in a roundabout like that, you're not looking for pedestrians. You're trying to figure out how to get out of it without getting killed.
Do you remember this conversation with mobility at one point? That there was another spot for that crosswalk that had been existing in another position, another time?
I don't remember that. I remember the students who came and made an impassioned plea to move it up on Lois a little further, because it was more convenient, I think, for both sides of the road. And there was a concern about how far away from the corner, how that crosswalk interacts with traffic, does a traffic study have to be done? There was some discussion around that and it kind of faded off. So if we
So that's
wanted
something we
to,
want to talk about maybe.
yeah, if we wanted to, if we had the money to do these first two, we should jump on that. But if we wanted to take the crosswalk on Lois for the students and move it, and it made sense, if we need to engage a engineer to take a quick look at it, in fact, one of these two.
It's already,
Have you?
Well, they've already done it. The engineer was here with Terra Tectonics in December.
Okay,
So in the plan is what they're proposing, the engineer.
okay.
So it's been done. When the students came to you all a couple of years ago, the board at that time decided to do this plan of Olive Drew Park. So that's kind of where we're at. So it is,
Was something specific to that area.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, but I just didn't remember there was a lot of stuff in it.
Right, and I don't remember what letter it was, but it was in there. I think getting back to the two projects, there is some overlap. I mean, one is mobility, connectivity, safety, crosswalks. Una's was the planting, the right trees in the right locations, the right
Pavers.
plants, pavers. Hers is more the visual landscape of everything. So there are some that are going to overlap, but they're not really the same. The mobility is looking at, do we put a crosswalk here? Do we move a sidewalk here? Where she is, this is the plants or the trees you might put around it to make it look nice. So I think that's what the difference is in the two.
right, and then I believe it, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know how this conversation happened, how much we got into it, but that belongs with Tektronix. Because they're already doing it on the rest of the place. We don't need, like what Randy's saying. Doctor saying, we don't need to. Is that, you guys agree?
I remember bringing that up to them when they were both here and they stressed the cooperation they had in making their plans. But I think that we asked the question because, we didn't see like. So there, I just think we were in the middle of making a decision and then it's been 3 months since
Right.
we've heard from either of them.
So. Are you guys in a position do you want to review? The UNA and the Tektronix last presentation with them one more time, or are we, I don't know, are you in a position to move forward as long as they don't overlap and Tektronix does the mobility part and Lois and Grade? When
I
you
think we
guys,
should move forward with it as long as we stress, It's
so the answer is yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as, I think you gotta do a budget analysis, what's the project's going to cost, and do we have the money to do it?
So
I
do
wouldn't want to kick off a design, a full-blown design, and may not have anything.
you got money stuff to talk,
Yes.
budget?
You got money stuff?
So I attached a copy of the most current budget from January. And let me see, I can start from the first page once we get past I'll come back to the promotions piece. If you're on the third page, you all have right now roughly about 5.4 million in neighborhood infrastructure improvements. So it's it's my understanding, and I have some renderings that when I started asking questions, people started sending me information. So, why do you need this? So I did receive some designs, and it's probably from one of the vendors that was hired.
That looks like number 3 on your list of projects.
That's linear.
So. Just make it a little smaller. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
So, it includes the linear park. Here, I guess there was a neighborhood or pocket park. Here, is that Manhattan Avenue? And see, there was a more detailed rendering of the linear park. There we go. So
Have you all seen this? Yes. Okay.
you have,
So this is,
Okay.
yes, this is a full presentation to us for linear park.
and that was when October. Okay. So there's some dollar amounts that you all have allocated.
Those dollar amounts were for those for design or for those for construction?
Let's see, if you go to the last page, you have mobility, where it says mobility, sidewalk and connectivity, safety improvements. That was $370,000 roughly. And then Lois and Grady streetscape and gateway improvements is 1.3. Excuse me.
December with all the different, because I don't recall what the whole, if we were to do every single thing they proposed, what that amount was. It was a couple million, wasn't it? I mean, it was a lot.
The linear park can basically blow a whole budget. You know, there's so much to choose from.
So the linear park aside, and I appreciate this list because that's number 4 and that's number 3 and 4, the parks. So 1 and 2 is Una and Tectonics. And then we've got parks 3 and 4. So I think we need to decide, we've got so much going on. Do we want to do the mobility and connectivity? Do we want to do the streetscape, or do we want to focus on parks? And number 2, which they were here in December, that's the one I wish we had what that total amount was, because that was the pick and choose and prioritize.
And that's the one that when Randy brought it up, it really wasn't a huge amount compared to everything else, right? Right?
I wish I could remember, I don't, but in Cedric, you don't have a copy.
Here's the-
No, I do not.
we
But I can
As a
see it.
group to keep things moving, that we do want to move forward with 1 and 2. Okay, as priority. We still want to see the numbers, because I can already see Randy is,
I'm always the numbers.
yeah, of course, and that's what we plan on you for. And we can't really approve an amount until we see, refresh our minds and say, okay, yeah, you're right, okay? Because I can't remember, I can never, the second one, I can't remember the Una's too much right now. All I remember was the Una's and Open. The third thing I think perhaps we need to put on our radar so we can start moving it is the kids' pocket park. Because that was the original park, and we're going over 10 years now, almost 10 years. That's the one that's on Manhattan and the suburbs.
Oh, okay.
Sure, okay.
It's part of the
Yeah.
linear, I'm writing now, so it's part of this design.
It's
The linear
not,
park.
no.
It's the same consultant, but if you flip through
It's
it,
number
there
4.
it is.
It's on the 4, yeah.
Okay.
So 3 and 4 are placemaker. I think I know where you're going. I think out of, in this list, thank you. Isn't this helpful?
It's
to see what
very
we've been
helpful.
doing?
Well, it's very helpful.
This is really good.
Yeah.
You know, kind of puts it in perspective. Of course, we're missing all the data, but at least we can, you know, we know it in our brain, so I'm just putting it out there. I mean, from what I'm hearing,
Cedric, what do we gotta do to move? Let's start with these two.
So,
Number 1 and 2. What are we gonna do to move those forward?
yeah, it's just having a conversation with the designated staff. And then, once we figure out what the dollar amounts are, then we can reprogram it from your current budget.
Yeah, but
If
the thing
you-
is, we'd like to know what the amounts are,
Mhm.
like, and what we're missing is a refresher
Okay.
of the presentations we were given. Some of these, you know, it's like a, can't pronounce the word, but it's like, when you go to a buffet, there's so much, you know, some to choose from, so we wanna make sure we're choosing what we want, you know, not just say. I think what we might be able to do today is prioritize, we wanna go with this, I would suggest the kids market. Park to go maybe on third, because this take a little bit more consideration than the 1 and 2.
Now, I did have conversations with staff when I found out and got this information. I believe the park, there was an estimated cost of about $2 million.
Yeah, but which part?
The-
Which part?
The,
The
I guess
linear.
you're saying, not the linear park, the pocket, the smaller one.
Again, there's also options.
Mhm.
So we were presented, okay, all this is the wonderful world.
Okay.
Now, which part of the wonderful world do you wanna do?
And there
Right,
was,
that's the part we're missing. And
yeah, on the linear park,
the linear park is like,
where the airport had some, there were 2 options and one option was not. We were not enthralled with, they closed off that one road, so.
Is that the
But
one?
I don't think there was.
The road that went right through the center there?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that actually provides access to the parcel to the north and the parcel to the south,
Okay.
so. I don't think there was anything contentious on this one.
no, but there were options. There were options, whether we have a place for the police, whether we have a bathroom, whether we have, what type of play equipment do we have, which one is there a shelter for picnic, there were choices.
Okay.
Okay,
And I think there was a line item in that budget, and I don't remember if it was on the linear part or whether it was on this part. For artwork.
I found it later.
No, there was not artwork here.
There were installations, they're like prefabricated ones, like the airplane, the old like planes on the.
I
They were
I made those.
Yeah, but you know.
Is that what you're talking about there?
Because-
Yeah, go up one more though, you can kind of see how it was applied within the park.
They're all just like,
I think it might have been the other direction.
prefab. like-
There might have been an
Okay,
education.
it's their playground equipment, it would be a problem.
You see that, see the, like the wings
Mhm.
and the plane there in the middle, that's what you.
I think that,
I-
I'm so glad you brought that up. I think part of it was because there's kids, that there's an opportunity educational of who we are as the history of Drew Park. And then the planes and the whole thing play into it, right?
Yeah, if it's playground equipment, I didn't have a concern. My concern was, when I saw the art line item is whether art is a qualifying cost under a CRA.
I think that was more for the linear side.
Okay.
You wanna take that?
You wanna take that, Cedric?
So. Recorded. Under chapter 163, and there's been a lot of back and forth technically.
Okay, so art would not be a qualifying cost.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Nobody knew that when we had the meeting where we were voting on what kind of art to put in.
Okay, so in order to keep this moving along, because we've been at this for a few months and, you know, we need to keep this moving along. Would you guys, I'm just saying, because this is a committee, whole thing, everybody has to agree, but from what I'm hearing, we want to start moving with 1 and 2. Of course, we have to have a motion. I would suggest we put 3 as the third, you know, priority. But knowing that we need to revisit all this to see the options and the costs.
Do you want the linear park to be the third option, or do you
No.
want the pocket park?
My personal opinion is a pocket park.
Okay, that'd be 4 and plus.
Yeah,
think
that
that
would be,
You actually like that 3.
yeah, he's got that one as 4s.
And the reason I'm saying is because I know the linear park, when it was motioned and so forth, was not what was envisioned by the committee. It was for the children. It was a park for the kids. Turned out to be something else. So, and it was to replace the community center in the community area, and the kids park, a community park, that was removed because of the airport, okay? So,
I have sinned again.
I know, well, it wasn't you during that time, right, so. you
I
gotta-
made noise while I was doing it.
So I realize and I know what the intention was. And it hasn't been completed and we're going on, I'm gonna say between 7 and 10 years.
I support what you're proposing. What I like about moving forward with 1 and 2 is that it affects number 2, especially all of Drew Park.
Absolutely.
Everyone will see what we're working on, what we're doing, and it has mobility and safety, and I like that. And I think looking at the 2 main arteries, Lois and Grady, and beautifying those, I just think that will touch so many people. I like the idea of the parks being a third option to look at. I think if we were to step out right now and go with a park, some people might say, well, I don't even have a sidewalk, so where I think number 2 is going to really, really make all of Drew Park. I like the idea of moving forward and looking at those.
So do we want to have a motion that we get to that point?
Any other discussion?
I think we make a motion. I was trying to read up on Robert's goals. I think you.
I felt like you did make a motion already. She did.
Make a motion. Am I?
We can second it and then any more discussion in my opinion.
Can you repeat? So the motion is to move forward with number 1 and number 2?
But my motion also includes to put the pocket park,
Number 4.
number 4, as number 3.
Actually, technically, she probably would need to pass the gavel.
Yeah, so
So,
I.
You need to make a motion.
Right.
Don't make a motion, that's what I was trying to get.
I'll make a motion.
Just to make sure that we're,
I'll throw it out. Is that okay?
yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I believe.
And if you
what
can
we're
state
trying
your
to
name
say
before you make the motion,
Is,
just for the record.
my name is Randy Forrester. Can't remember the minutes from the December meeting, but, so we have before us a list that staff has put together of 4 projects. On that list is project number 1, Lois and Grady landscape and streetscape and safety audit improvements. Number 2 is mobility, connectivity, and safety improvement. And then number 4 is new neighborhood park, which is the park at Hubert and Manhattan. And what I believe we see those 3 projects in that order as being our priorities at this time. And we would like staff to go out and investigate what the total cost might be, a rough order of magnitude number for those, so that they can bring that back to the committee and we can move those. If we have enough money to move all 3 forward, we'd love to do that. And if we don't, we will select our priorities at that time.
Would someone like to second that?
I will second.
Any discussion?
For the record, that was Nicholas.
That was Nicholas.
I didn't care.
And so.
And I will expect every word of my motion to be those numbers.
Be
I'm
recorded.
kidding, I'm kidding.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is passed. Now that that has passed, I'd like to make a comment. I did meet with, the Tara talk names. I changed their name. Because, I think in the original scope, we had asked a little bit more than crosswalks for them. And I was interested in seeing a little bit more on parking and on sidewalks. So they were gonna go back and I met with them in early December with Jesus. To go back and take a look at that. You know, what options there were, because there are some, disconnected sidewalks, some maybe just an easy fix, car is not a whole street. I also did tell them that there are some parts, they were concerned, they brought this to our attention my attention, or basically myself, and so they had stopped on Hesperdes, but somewhere in Hesperdes, there's a water like in the middle of the street or something, that did not permit them to finish their recommendations on crosswalks, because there are people like myself, over by Cayuga, or Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King, down that area, that cross over to walk on Air Cargo Road, run, and so forth. And they had told me, and told Jesus that they had stopped on that because of the border. And I said, well, you know, this doesn't necessarily mean it's all CRA money. In the city, there could be grants to finish the work, there could be money in mobility to do the other half of the street, or the 2 feet that are necessary, or whatever. So I asked them, so my request to them and Jesus' request to them was to go back. And don't. House order, not to include, not to include, so don't leave out, do not leave out what their recommendations were on any part of the park. You know, let us know what their original recommendations were. Let us work with the city if we choose to, you know, and also not to leave these broken, because we don't have to do everything at once. We may now do what they presented to us, but you know what? There may be a phase 2 to this. And if they know that information now, don't leave it back in your office. Let us know what that page of recommendations are as part of the work that you did for us. I haven't seen it yet, you know, but.
Do you have a name of the individual you all spoke with?
The gentleman in charge, and his engineer, you guys
In our
know.
minutes,
Yeah,
Okay, oh, I got it.
and the engineer, the same gentleman that was here that day, yeah.
Jonathan Turner,
The
David Butler.
lower part of this thirties go to the airport. Boundary?
You know, I thought it went beyond that, and of what they were telling me. I was very confused about what they were telling me, and I think that's also my motivation to push them a little bit further.
Yeah, I always assumed that that boundary went at least, I know, once you get by Crest, the border goes over a little bit into our property. But I thought the border
Is that by the
was on the
roundabout
property
there
line.
I thought so too.
along? Is there a roundabout right there? Is that, I guess,
No, there's no, the opposite side.
yeah, that's the wrong side. Okay,
Yes.
got it.
So can we make a request of staff to find out really where our borders are?
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Yeah, I thought.
And I'll make sure to include a map with everything spelled out for the next meeting.
Have that on. Like around the time
When VHB,
That map is cool.
when VHB did the plan,
Excuse me?
when VHB did the plan, Neil Strela, in that plan, he would have had a drawing of the border.
You know what, Randy, I recall, who's the gentleman that was before you that represented here, I think, grand person,
Joe Filippelli,
I believe,
and then I think Susan Collins did. for a
before
while.
Susan Collins,
Hmm?
before Susan
And
Collins.
it would have been probably Joe Filippelli.
You had almost. I remember that there was a property, and this goes to the border, where they were offering, this airport was very generous, actually. Well, they took it, okay, they still were generous, as much as possible, okay, you know? With, whoosh, yeah. There was a conversation about the airport actually deeding over to the people that were on Casper. It was long gone, it's past. The part of what would have ended up being now the right of way for parking. So that tells me the border.
The border goes up to the west right of way of S-30s. Okay. Our border does. Because their cargo was put in and S-30s was left in place. So the right of way for air cargo and the property line for the airport is the westernmost boundary of S-30s until you get, what is the first street south of Crest?
Yeah, south.
Yeah, South Street. So until you get to South Street, and then I believe the CRA border kind of, it doesn't follow that curve exactly.
Bring it up so we can look at it.
Look at that, there we go. Which says to me that the intention of that drawing was for the the west right-of-way line for Hesperdes would be the boundary for Drew Park.
Mhm.
Which, just let me know how far you all want
Yeah. So it follows Hesperdes until you hit Crest, then it takes Crest across, and then it goes north to Hillsborough. Okay?
to talk about up here.
So that's the
Yes.
split you were talking
Cause
about.
that's the old,
Yeah,
that's the
a little
old
sliver
Western
there.
Boulevard right of
We
way.
didn't
That's a
even
straight
own it.
line.
The
Top left.
owns that whole stretch now, correct?
Yes, we own everything to the west of Air Cargo. And then we own, here. I know the folks online can't see me.
My head.
Oh,
Yeah, you can share it.
so we own this triangle here. And then we own about the middle of that tree, a group of trees over. So we own that.
Reach.
Oh, you pull it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Eric up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we own about the middle of this tree line up to here. And then our dad's this is an older drawing, but I gotta believe that the intent is for that to go to
I
the
believe so too, and
west side of
that's,
Hesperdes, which means we can do something. with
Yeah.
this.
that, my recollection. And, regardless, we can make it work, if there is something in their recommendation that they like. So bottom line, I asked them, don't leave it out of your report. If you've already done the work, let us know what your work is. So that's, Cedric, is something we still need to get from them.
Okay,
Thank you for pulling that map up.
so not a problem, my pleasure.
Let's play, Cedric. Let's play. Okay, accomplish this. It's great. Okay, so so.
What's the next item on our agenda?
Yeah, what today?
Um,
You're on.
we're still waiting for the folks to come in for the presentation, but, there are a couple of things on the management report I'd like to just chat with you about. One thing is the schedule. As I stated this, for most of you who were in the room, I had a East Tampa meeting, and their meetings go 6 months that are in the morning, and they're 6 months in the evening. It's according to daylight standard time, savings time. So come May, those meetings will go to 6 p.m. It will be very difficult for me to be here physically at 5:30 and then having a meeting there. So just wanted to kind of check the pulse and temperature to see if Drew Park would be willing to shift the day of the meeting. And I'm open to options. I understand that Mondays are normally bad for folks because you're just getting back in from the weekend. Tuesday, if we move it to maybe the the third Tuesday, it's already on the second Tuesday, or a Wednesday perhaps. But I just wanted to explore that with you all.
We're normally the first two.
I'm sorry, first Tuesday, yes. And moving it to the second of the third.
What's going on in the office?
Well, I tell you what I'll do is I'll send out an email, just like I sent the agenda out and everything to you all last week. And then you can respond back once you've had a chance to check your calendars and kind of see what's going on, and then we'll.
But
What's that?
what you're saying is the other CRA that you work with, starting in May, is the first Tuesday?
Right. So for instance, for March, I have, not to make it about me, but we had a meeting this morning at 9 o'clock, and then I'm here at 5:30. And if we could shift the days, it would be beneficial. And for instance, we have other CAC meetings that are going on. The grants team that is going to be speaking to you all, they were at a meeting in downtown this evening, so they're en route here.
You want to just email us?
Yeah, I can email you, and in that way you'll have some time to it. Now, April won't be an issue, but May
could be a potential problem. So I'd like to,
It used to be Wednesdays, by the way. I mean,
is that right?
flexible group. We changed because somebody needed to be at church on Wednesdays.
And I respect that. So
So the city is now gonna provide snacks for, them
Right,
because we're making this change, right?
of course.
I might be able to work something out. Wouldn't be from the city, we'll say it for the record. Yes, we might be able to work something out.
So can you email us?
Yes, I will send an email.
Anything else in your manager's reports?
No, we've already touched on the project priorities and if you all have any new business, I'm waiting because I did text someone from the grants team to
They
see.
left 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
We took over your area, so I don't want to.
Okay.
If you have something to tell us.
Perfect time. All right, so I, have been talking to Cedric about a solution for the signs. Being that it might be costly to print them up for each of the CAC meetings, to put them out in the community for people to know about the meetings. So I have two kind of recommendations if possible. Cedric in East Tampa uses, well, he has two electronic signs that the CRA purchased to put in centralized locations to alert the individuals about the CAC meetings. So that's one of them that if we look in our, budget, and I highlighted where was the part that we have some funding that if it's approved, we can look at that cost. He actually knows the cost. So he's able to kind of connect me to find the pricing. And then the second thing is I can do it biannually, that it does have a cost, but it's sending out the 6x9 mailers that has the CAC meeting dates, similar to what I did for the community engagement for parking or mobility and all that. I did a direct mail to those businesses and residents located within the district. So, that can help, just push it a little further to try to, get something in their hands with the schedule and location, being that we're already set at this location for the rest of the year. So it's something that, we're here, just, I could do that biannually, depending on which mark to kind of have that, and I could bring back that cost.
Regardless of whether we do digital signs or on the ground or whatever else, I think that's a good idea.
Okay,
And I would think we should move to that. I'm not saying there was a motion.
okay. So, we do have,
And let me, Ms. Parks, just touch on the digital billboard. The only thing that might be hanging up with that, and I'm just being completely transparent, in East Tampa, we have an environmental detective that is, we fund. But, Drew Park doesn't have a position like that, so it would be difficult. We'd have to depend maybe on the police department or TPD to, hey, can you relocate the sign? I don't have a truck that I could haul it and move it to a certain location. So that would be the difficulty with that, I think. Just listening to the options that Ms. Parks has presented, the direct mail probably would be the best and most cost effective. If I'm not mistaken, it's been a couple of years and it took a while for them to get, but it was somewhere between $11,000 and $12,000 for one.
That's a lot of mailers.
Right, exactly.
well, no, that's for the sign, not the millers. The millers
That's
is
what I'm
different,
saying.
it could be a little bit less,
We could
yeah.
send a lot of mailers for one thing.
Be curious to see what the electronic signs look like, because we do have a lot of electronic signs already around for Raymond James.
Okay,
At Dale Mabry and Tampa Bay Boulevard and, going up on Dale Mabry. I just, and I don't know where you are thinking about putting them, but there are areas, I don't know if there's one on MLK by baseball right now, but
there it is.
I would just be concerned if we add two more, people are even going, if they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, it's two more signs, or we're not even gonna read them.
I do have another suggestion with that, because I see that there's a sign right out here. So I don't know if we can form a partnership with, I don't know who programs their sign now.
Our Jumbotron? you're
Yes,
talking about?
the one
Oh,
that's right outside of ACC,
Yeah,
that said ACC,
yeah, that is through our district.
Okay,
And we
okay.
don't, that
Yeah.
one we couldn't
the
do.
programming, I'm, forming some type of cost, being that it's in New
Yeah.
Park, that we could
Yeah.
look at.
Kind of new to the board, but just is there some reason why we can't email? Is that a privacy issue or something?
No, it's not. So currently what I do for the meetings is that we have a couple of things happening, which is a good thing. We have our website that shows all of the new meetings for 2024, and it also has a printable version for people to print as well. What I also do is I post on social media, I rotate, the CACs or whatever workshops on social media. And I also tag the community engagement individuals for the city of Tampa for them to put it on the Nextdoor app, notifying them of meetings and stuff like that. I just want to ensure that, there's a longer reach to individuals to let people know that this CAC is happening. I do have a distribution list that was given to me from Jesus that he collected amongst multiple outreach stuff that we had, along with emails that the CAC members have given to us to make sure that we can email that distribution list through MailChimp. I know that that's something that, the chair is constantly saying, more involvement from the communities in the CAC, to participate in these efforts, these studies, to talk about what's happening. I just want to give another option and say, I've done all I could possibly do to get people here
So
on these dates.
here's from what I'm hearing, okay? The digital sign approximately a couple years ago, 11,000, and then I get it, it looks like so much other things going on, but those things aren't that much to rent. So we could rent them once a month. It's not that much. I'm doing events. I rent, okay? I don't remember now because I usually go through the city or the county, whoever's doing it, but they're not that much. We can also look at existing ones that are already out that Raymond James may have, for them and say, hey, for this time frame, can you have this reprogrammed? The other thing is the Yankees do have a board, and they are, I believe, with the or even if they weren't, they'd be good, possibly good neighbor. And also, the old fashioned yard signs work.
Yeah.
Okay, so why not? It's like, CRA meeting at this location, this Wednesday, this Tuesday. You don't have to put anything else up. And perhaps, HCC, there may be a group of community students and that do outreach in community or what have you, I don't know, that may volunteer to put them up and take them down. Because that was the hang up before.
Yeah, that's the situation that I'm running into. Printing them for each one, which comes this, just generically designing one that says upcoming this Tuesday, but making sure I take those down.
Yeah.
Because the weather does affect, that.
So if I remember, the yard signs did work, okay? And you don't have to, you can redo them, this is this Tuesday, this Wednesday, this Thursday, whatever it is. Next Tuesday, next Wednesday or Thursday, whatever you put them through. I don't know if it's not an HCC, community organization, there may be another one who might help out and put it together. That's just a suggestion.
Yeah, and then if that's the case with the yard signs,
They're not that much.
then I will want the consensus of the group at the very least to tell me where to place them.
Can you
I'm
bring examples next time or something?
I can bring a yard sign that I do. It's traditional 24 by 18 inches, something that you might see, that H6, metal H6 that you put in the room. I'm out there, anybody like places it for meetings or advertisements, but I can bring it next time. So I would just want, it will be more of an exercise, like, here goes a map. Let me know where you want me to put this sign. So that will determine whether I'm putting up 10, 15, 20. I am a team of one. I love it because I love what I'm doing, but I'm putting them up and I'm taking them down.
Okay.
So, that's the thing. But the mailers, I have no issue. That has been like the number one compliment I've received thus far, that any meeting that we've had, the direct mailers has grabbed the attention of those individuals. So I have no
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, and the mailers are individual themselves, they're not like tucked into like a water bill or anything like that?
No, they're.
Come
they're
individually, just as a 6x9.
Yes, so
Okay.
what I do is, I have a design, that's already approved that I used for the mobility study, and they came here. But, so it's a 6x9 mailer, then I, go into the property export option that we have with the city. I outline Drew Park, it exports all of those addresses that are registered with the, property appraiser's office. I work with the city's postage, service that goes ahead and prints it out directly to the individuals. And then I do it in twofold. I send it to the site addresses and the owners, because they might be different. So that catches.
I can add that. We did a survey for the West Shore District where we did a similar type of poll, not to every resident, but did a strategic poll.
Mhm.
And our best respondents came via postcard,
Yes.
not email, not Facebook,
Yes.
not anything else. They came via postcard.
Yes, and then those respondents, then I will generate a list of, emails, because now I have their attention, and now they're gonna look forward
So
to that newsletter,
what
but.
do we have to do to do that?
I just wanted to I could start working on the
You guys
mailer
agree?
now with the mailers. And then the yard sign, I'll go back to look at what would be the best way to capture the attention once I put them out.
Simple.
Yeah,
I know last time about, we were looking at this maybe 2 years ago. And the hangup was, oh, that the city needed to approve the,
yeah, they approved it now.
CRA, boom,
No, they've approved it, so I have a generic sign that I use for everything, which.
It's like, it's not the city, it's like, it's a
Did you put
CRA.
a QR code on?
Yes, so,
That's good.
Cedric, you don't have it, you don't have my sign it, so it has,
In case the schedule changed or.
yeah.
That
So-
would drive them to a.
It has the name of the meeting, a QR code to always take them back to the website. I want them to be able to sign up for, news releases, and just make sure that the website, stays, up to date.
So, right,
And if I could highlight in your budget for promotions, you all have $21,000 for in that line item. And that's probably where that would come from.
we did talk about digital.
Right.
At least about one. Okay, so can we move forward to anything on new business? Are you bringing anything up?
I just had something to bring up. And I'm not sure if this is, if I shouldn't or shouldn't, but when I come from the north in the morning, I cut through Drew Park to come in our northern part here. And today I was just looking up the street because I always forget the name. I cut over on Alva over to Grady, and within that block or so on the right was quite a few homeless people, all camped with their shopping carts and sitting on chairs, a large group. And then on Grady, right around the corner, was another gentleman sitting on a lawn chair with his shopping cart and that. And I guess I was just kind of, number one, surprised at just that the homeless people were just right there. And I thought, well, we got a meeting tonight, I'll just bring it up since we have time. I don't know, is that a code enforcement? Should that be policed better? I just.
Can I give you some insight on that? What happened is, there is a lot, huge lot, very close to there, that is being cleaned out. I don't know if it,
Yeah, I noticed that.
You noticed
that,
that,
yeah.
those people will live inside there.
Okay, because that's where they were.
So
right.
they've been displaced. And there is a group, it's either with police or code enforcement or a joint effort to try to find these police.
That's good, that's all, yeah, that's all.
If we can get TPD and whoever their partners are, that they actually come. Oh, Susan's here. Come on in, Susan. Susan was driving in from Sarasota. Thank you for making it.
So just really quick, I wanted to say that it is a partnership. Ebor has it. Ebor has that partnership.
You too.
And also, partnership with the housing department that does the.
So can we catch up to the
Yes.
horse on that? Because these people have been,
Almost there.
they were in there, no one knew they were there.
Right.
Their homes
I
have been.
bet they're cleaning it out. And then on the other side, all those white trucks that are broke down, I would think that would be an area to clean too, but that's for another day. Because I would think there's a lot of codes that are not to have trucks that have, weeds and stuff growing through it, but that must be what it is. You could tell the lot was being cleaned out and they were right on the edge of it. And I just happened to notice today, like, wow, that's a large number of people sitting there, so.
We just purchased a property on Hebert Avenue. It was all overgrown. You couldn't step foot in the property line. It was 8-foot trees and we were clearing it out and it was like this big clear opening in the middle with a bunch of stuff. And it was, part of me was like, oh, this is like someone's house that I just walked into, but yeah.
Or people know, but the school board helped them get on their way and tell them about services and, deal with them humanely to try and get their services and help them.
It's a puppy. We had, not this past year, but I think a year before, in the summer, we had somebody that they were living in their car and they found a way to cut down some small trees and get back into a patch of woods that we had. And so they were running the car for air conditioning and caught the grass on fire, burned up the car, burned up a patch of our property. You go out there and you get two emotions. One is, how did you do this? And then number two is, your house just burned down. You're living in a car and you feel sorry for these things. And we have a constant battle. It's like poking your finger in a balloon. Push them, get them out of this area, and then 3 days later, they're in a different area.
You have.
Code enforcement is calling us.
Mhm.
And you guys have heard me spout on and on and on about the dumping. And it's still going on. We're still fighting.
The RV and the boat.
Yeah, the RV and multiple boats. Boats, we're getting good at boats.
Congratulations.
RV was very.
Announcements is, you want to say the announcement, but basically I think it's saying that March 21st is our next CRA meeting.
Yes. Yes.
Is the next CRA meeting at City Hall, is that what you're telling me?
Yes, that next CRA board meeting, just in case you don't have anything to do while you're sitting at your desk or out, at work or what have you, teaching class or whatever you're doing. And I kind of like to give you all a heads up and just in case, so if something does come up as it relates to any of the CRAs, it's normally at that meeting. And it's actually a week later instead of being next time, it's the following week. I know a lot of people will be out for a spring break. So with the school district and then just announcing the next CAC meeting on April 2nd.
Which is ours here.
Correct.
So we're supposed to adjourn, but I think we're waiting for, who are we waiting? for?
We are waiting for our grants team to talk about the commercial-based grants. If we can just recess for maybe 5 minutes to allow them to get here. They're leaving downtown and I got a text message about 20 minutes ago, said they were 25 minutes out, so.
They should be
here.
pulling up.
And the presentation should
Yeah.
be. Yeah, the presentation about 10 to 15 minutes.
So.
Well, yeah, and the water department, water wise, I might have heard the chiming going because he hasn't gotten here yet. We're just gonna move it to next month because he was actually at another location. He thought the meeting was there. So so we could just recess for about 5 minutes. And Brand's folks should be here.
We are here, representing our, division lead, Ms. Dee Reed. She sends her apologies. She had a death in the family, so she is, taking care of her family at this time, but, she does send the team, and we're more than apt to handle, this presentation, but thank you for letting us come in. We're here today to provide you an update of the grants audit and the proposed changes to our current grant portfolio. The presentation will also include a lot of information, so we ask that you hold your questions until the end of the presentation. Andrea Rosshaven, which you all know, and Corinne Linnebrink are also on our grants team, and they will be passing out not only the presentation, but also the notepads, so that while the presentation is going, you can jot down any questions or comments that you may have. And as we asked, if you could just hold those to the end, we're going to have a 15-minute question and answer session for you to get those answered. And at the end of the presentation, we're going to come by and pick up the notepads so that if you've written anything on it, if you could just leave it there, because we will use that information. Your questions and your feedback will be used as a part of our first round of grant performance evaluations that we're going to be holding in the upcoming year. Everyone have a presentation? All right, great.
In February 2023, the CRA board approved the restructure of the CRA. One aspect of that restructure was the creation of a dedicated grants management team supporting all 10 community redevelopment areas. Following the workshop held last year, it was determined that the 3 areas that needed to be addressed are internal organization, bylaws, and grants. This presentation will focus solely on the grants audit and the recommendations to the commercial grant portfolio. As a result of the CRA board retreat